Hi everyone. Focus of this lesson, the peer group as an agent or agency of socialization. Focus on the information you will find on the 9th page of your 3rd study guide, and there is supportive information in chapter 3 in the text. Bear in mind that peers, or to be more precise, the peer group, is made up of individuals of approximately equal age or same age and similar social characteristics. If you will focus on the information on the 9th page, I've highlighted some key things I want you to keep in mind about the peer group and peers in general as an agency of socialization. I want to add a little bit more to it as well. And you might want to focus on the information noted here. Remember that when children become members of a peer group, join a peer group, they are for the very first time put into a setting, a context, where most socialization takes place without any real specific design. Different from the family and the schools, the peer group is basically centered on its own concerns and interests. And its members can really get involved with interests and topics and issues that adults and other agencies of socialization may wish to altogether avoid. For example, topics related to sex and drugs. Well, within the peer group, members have a chance to get away from the direct supervision of their parents and other authority figures. Again, I think most of you can appreciate and understand that, furthermore, peer groups comprised of young folk literally have, for the first time, opportunities to choose their companions and can interact with a variety of others in a setting of some equality. Children and young people come to realize that they won't be automatically accepted within the peer group as they were within the family. Rather, they have to first and foremost learn how to develop and share friendships. Also, they have to learn how to predict how others may respond in a variety of circumstances. And all of these skills that I've just been highlighting bring into effect, as far as I'm concerned, the fact that you're just not automatically given a place in the peer group. You've got to earn it. You've got to win it, if you wish. Now, peer groups are particularly significant in the United States during adolescence. And that's probably due to 2 factors. First and foremost, it's the way the United States organizes education. Well, think about it for a moment. Kids are segregated in age-specific categories. Further, their interaction with adults, other than teachers and administrators, as well as the larger society, is significantly limited. They're in this kind of enclosed situation or circumstance 5 days a week, 8 hours out of the day for at least 9 months. Another factor that probably plays a role in this is the bureaucratization of the schools. Remember what a bureaucracy is marked by. First, impersonality. Second, hierarchical authority. Third, heavy emphasis on rules and regulations. Followed by a complex division of labor and a heavy-duty focus on efficiency. And remember one of the negative side effects of bureaucracy, a sense of alienation. Well, peer groups provide a supportive mechanism. Peer groups are primary groups with a strong emotional bond. And within peer groups, it's rather important that you bear in mind as well that kids are socialized to a degree to become independent of adult authority. Yet, much of the experience, believe it or not, within the peer group tends to reinforce standard social and cultural notions or conventions. Now, I hope I haven't confused you on that point, and if you're wondering, what are you getting at? Well, peers can play a key role in socializing kids into their appropriate gender role behaviors or expectations. For example, studies highlight the fact that some girls were labeled sluts and slags if they exhibited independent behavior, such as going places on their own or talking and acting aggressively to boys who had insulted them. Boys, on the other hand, are also socialized to, quote unquote, appropriate gender behavior by their peers. It's what some researchers have referred to as policing masculinity. Boys will often insult one another by employing labels or names, particularly labels and names that imply weakness, pud, wimp, wiener, squirt. Or on the other hand, negative labels may also be attached if a boy exhibits a lack of toughness. He doesn't appear to be a real man. Maybe, again, he's homosexual. Fag, queer, pussy, girly man may come to mind. Now, all of these are employed when a boy doesn't meet certain behavioral standards associated with him being a male. So, young people often do seem to give their primary focus and attention as well as loyalty to their peers. But I want you to remember, this can be deceiving. I remember back in the 1960s when I was in college, there was a great deal of discussion about the generation gap, that there was this huge unbridgeable gap that had developed between adults on the one hand and youthful peers on the other hand, and nothing could be done to change it as such. Interesting enough, numerous studies highlight the fact that peers do exert a great influence on others when it comes to matters of immediate or short-term lifestyle, like musical preferences or leisure activities. Actually, too, to separate themselves from their families and fit in with their peers, adolescents in particular commonly change the way they talk, dress, and act, as well as the interests they pursue. Now, I want to emphasize the fact this is not unique just to adolescents. Got that? But if you look at it from another perspective, particularly with respect to adolescents and young adults, when it comes to educational aspirations, political and religious preferences, career goals, as well as values, interestingly enough, the family tends to have a greater long-term effect or impact. So yeah, there are differences, as you very well know. For me, and I suspect for you too, when I was in my peer group, I did certain things I would never do in front of my parents. And I sometimes thought that my peers had a much more powerful effect on my thinking and my behavior. And they did when it came to, again, those short-term lifestyle choices. But as was pointed out a moment ago, when it came to some of the deeper things in my life, I look back and recognize how powerful and influential my family has been. Now, it's also very, very, very important that you understand peer group associations are not just important during the period of time in our lives when we're children and adolescents. Probably if I were to ask you this question, at what point in your life did the peer group play the greatest role in your overall socialization. If you're like me, and I think this is true of almost all American adolescents, it's during that period of time, during that period of adolescence when we're in high school and middle school especially. But peer group associations continue all the way through to the end of our lives. I remember that my father, prior to his death, lamented a great deal about the fact that he had outlived all of his peers. So keep in mind again the distinctive differences between the peer group and how it socializes us as compared to the family. Likewise, you might note down at the very bottom of the 9th page, people in groups without peers of similar social status can be at a decided disadvantage. It can create some genuine problems. Give some consideration to that as well. Next lesson, we're going to take a look at the schools as an agency of socialization.